There are a lot fewer two-parent families.
What's worth more, $1 today or $1 tomorrow?
Almost nobody gets out of love alive.
Prisoners' rights is out of sight, out of mind.
Is your brain on God?
You ain't ready to
There are discussions as
How they thought
black families we have to have them.
What's worth more, $1 today or $1 tomorrow? What's worth more, $1
Hey man, let's throw this factor in too, man. This is one thing that I haven't been hearing in this conversation. The business aspect is big. That's huge. It's a business merger ultimately. You know, the love to me is just icing on the cake, but it is a business merger. But when you're dealing with children too, that's a very powerful dynamic as well too. We're talking about building legacy, building something for the future. I'm saying that I'm a great male, and I done got with this great female. We came together and we made something even much more dynamic with our offspring. So always keeping focus on, again, the business aspect of it all and what we're trying to build, what we're trying to build with the children as well. We got to keep our selfishnesses outside of this whole dynamic. And one thing that I really wanted to point to that I mean, we just got to go in on this is the whole infidelity thing. And I tell a lot of women this, you know, women got to come to the point to where they look at the dude and they judge him off of what he's really bringing to the table. Because no generation of women has been able to make dudes stop messing with other women, straight up and down. You dig? So we say we want to have honest conversations about this, but I think a lot of women specifically in this country are not ready to have that conversation. They're not.
I agree.
Oh, that was
I
easy.
agree.
I
agree because
ultimately
it's embarrassing.
Because
embarrassing.
We're saying that, you know, hey, I think a man really does want to be honest with you, but he's scared that she can't handle that honesty. And speaking specifically, if you're already in a relationship, you don't want to lose that woman. You don't want to hurt that woman for just a part of you that's just being yourself. Hey, I'm still going to provide for this woman. I'm still going to be there for this woman. I'm still going to blow her back out. Still a lion. I'm still a hunter. That's
Thank you, baby. Bye.
Oh man, yeah, man. I tell you, man. I arrived at that separation of business and personal a little while ago, man. It just makes things easier, man. It makes things easier when you separate the two relationships.
But
And
here's the question: when did you get to that point in your marriage?
probably when I bought my first house, like at 24. Say 24, yeah, 24 years old. And I say that because then that's when we had to really start putting pen to paper. You see what I'm saying? Before that,
So you bought it, or you guys bought it together?
I did. Okay. The first one, right? I did. But I mean, at that point, I didn't really know much about this. It was all new to me. I had, older brother, partner of mine that used to work with me that was advising me on it. So at that point, when I realized really what we was getting into, and as we move further, then I start understanding the difference between the two. Like, because it'd put me in a worse situation to try. Like, say for instance, something happened and she wanted to divorce me, God forbid, because I cheated. I'm out of here, right? It would cost us more money and put us in a worse situation if we divorced. She wants to divorce me because of like some infidelity shit, something like whatever it is, right? It's not financial, is what I'm saying. Something on the personal side. It would cost us. It would put us both in a worse position financially if we tried to sell off all our assets because the personal shit is getting involved with the business. It just don't make sense to me at all to try to sell your primary home. Or this is why you see so many guys having their primary home still exists there. Their ex-wife lives in there, and she got another man in there, and he's still paying a mortgage because it makes more sense financially to just let it set up that way. As crazy as it may look, you see what I'm saying? But personally, I'm not rushing to sell off no assets if I have to get divorced. I'm not doing that. We can exist you know, how we need to exist and keep the business side of everything that we have signed contractually
Well,
intact.
going back to what we was talking about, I don't think you recorded it, but going back to what we were talking about in regard to selling off assets and stuff, that's easily solved in a divorce. When you have, let's say you have 3 homes, right? It is. Let's say you have 3 homes. Keisha gets you one, Greg gets one, and then you want to sell the other one and split the money. That's going to be in the enumerated, and y'all both sign and agree, right? Or you can say you have 4, 2 and 2. Y'all choose, y'all sign off, and that's the end of it. You just do your real estate legal transactions, your deed signing, and all that stuff that way. When it gets muddy is when a person is getting a divorce and one person wants this and one person wants that, and there's no give or take. So in the business aspect of it, let's say Greg or Dane, I know you guys own or whatever. You guys from beginning, you're like, okay, if something happens, we know how we're gonna split this money before we even sign this contract, before we even close on this house.
Mhm.
But it's easily remedied as long as, like you said, you keep that business mindset in regard to your finances. When you get to, let's say you get to that stage of divorce, you can just, someone surrenders. Okay, well, I'll let you do this so that, like you said, it's not so much of a headache in the end when you want to split it. It may cost you less to just agree to disagree, and John gets the condo and Keisha gets the house. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
it's the lesser. I think that's like, because that's still
the lesser of all evils.
and that's the thing. Like, you forced to choose the lesser of two evils when you put yourself
Just
in this.
like with my situation in regard to business, I can say this: because I was the person making more money, I always had this mindset of we're not putting anything together until
So
you're
y'all didn't have
able
like
to.
joint bank
Until you're able
accounts or
to.
nothing like that.
Never, never.
But I
I
mean, at the scope of what we're talking about, if you don't trust your peoples like that, then I don't think that's a bad idea.
It
You know what I mean?
wasn't
I
a
don't,
matter. It wasn't.
But
It
then,
really.
but then
It really
why did
wasn't a
you?
matter
yeah,
of
why even
trust.
enter into the contract
This is
then?
what I'm
Why?
saying, folks.
but I mean, even
All
I
due
mean,
respect.
Tina's case, she said she married young. She married for other reasons, so I guess I understand that from another aspect too. I'm
Again,
true.
I told you guys, we came in here with a skewed view of marriage. Marriage, as a West Indian young lady, I can tell you this: marriage was like, this is what you're supposed to do. You have a kid, y'all living together, y'all sleeping together. It's time to get married. This is what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
But me, as a person who had a little foresight, I was like, okay, well, I make more money than him. He's not. He doesn't have his foot where he need to be. I need to protect my monies. That doesn't mean we didn't have access to each other's money, but we just never had a bank account that was joined. So that when, bless you, when situations got crazy, if it needed to be, I didn't want that person to have control over my money. So there was always a sense of reluctance. My marriage is a different situation, I can tell you that.
Mhm.
But in regard to business, I can definitely understand where you have to protect what's yours and then protect what's best, or make decisions in what's best for both of us in the end, if there is an end.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, Anyae brought the fact, like when you bring, you know, children into play, that's another part of it that um, that makes it difficult, or should make it difficult, to just split even on the personal side. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think this, my personal feeling is, it's selfishness. I do believe that is what it is. You don't, those kids are not, you know, didn't ask for that situation, so I just feel it's your responsibility, or you guys' responsibility, to go ahead and deal with that. Long story short, this whole, you know, 60% of marriages ended up in divorce is absolutely ridiculous. If you were paying attention and thinking about, and outside of, let me be respectful to um those who married like really, really young and didn't consider the business side of things. This is what I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
though. Like, anyone who's not, if you're not focusing on that, you're setting yourself for that failure 10, 15 years down the road. Who the hell wants to get divorced
I
10,
agree.
15 years into a
You know what I
marriage? You
think
know what
is
I'm
a
saying?
good measure, Jay? Because you was talking about how you started getting this mind state when you got your first house.
Hmm.
I think some people need to own some shit before you actually get into marriage. You know what I mean? So
That's
you
the
can
only
start
reason
thinking.
that would be
I'm
the only
sorry.
reason I would marry, is through, because of some aspirations of owning something. Other than that, we just playing over here. Is my point. We just
Mhm.
we're just doing things, you know.
Let me just add this in, G. Just to go back to a sense of structure, community, village. I think we need to focus on as a people setting up that structure to where we have those elders that have been married for quite some time to guide us through this type of thing from the beginning stages of it all. Because again, we're all just kids trying to figure it out.
Yeah, man.
Even with the divorce thing, talking about, what we're going to split up, what we're going to have after the fact. I think that those things should even be figured out when our minds are in the right places in the early stages. Hold up, okay. So we're gonna figure this out amongst elders, what belongs to who, what we're gonna share, even if we do split it up down the line. And even on top of that, how about let's keep the courts the fuck out of our business? Because we know that the courts don't give a damn about our marriages. They don't give a damn about our children. They just give a damn about that cut that they getting out of the whole thing.
So as far as the polyamorous relationships, how you feel about those though?
I'm in support of it. I'm in support of it.
Right,
To be honest with you.
All right, so let's go around. Everybody feels the same way.
I'm actually a product of such. My grandfather in Nigeria had 6 or 7 wives and like 20-something children. But he had houses, for all of his wives, and he took care of all of his children, And me specifically being his oldest grandchild and being named after him, and understanding that culture, I kind of said to myself as a young man, you know what? I might want to go down that path one day. I'm not sure, but I might want to go down that path one day. So actually, before me and my wife got married in a marriage counseling session, I actually brought it up, and I actually said, like, if I do find the right woman down the line that fits what we're trying to build and makes what we're trying to build that much stronger, like the triangle offense, how would you feel about me bringing her in? It was tough on her. It was real tough on her on me bringing that concept to her. But she said she felt like, that she knew one day I would bring that up, and she actually accepted it. Which I give her a lot of respect and props for that, because I know a lot of women, even though they say they're ready to follow their man, they're not willing to go down that path. They're not ready to follow him down that path. But if I'm the leader, if I'm supposed to lead this into the right direction, I need you to trust in me that I got all of our best interests at hand, and I'm not just gonna be out here for self.
How about I do this real quick, because Ian brought up Brother Polite. Let's be fair to that argument, and because basically, unless you put explain why this is a better situation, it's hard to get women to kind of adopt to it just naturally, right?
Of course.
So what about the argument as far as time management? And he explained about there being 24 hours in a day. Tell me y'all heard him go through this. The idea of there being 24 hours in a day, and if you actually think about what human beings do as far as consuming time, what they spend it on, they actually need about 25 and a half hours a day to be able to get it all done, which is, as you say, it's impossible. So he said with this relationship, you start bringing in, there's different wives, right? A lot of the stuff that would be done by one individual can now be split up amongst 3 or 4 people. And so now you start throwing an argument like that at a woman who's feeling like this is just, men trying to, sleep with multiple women or whatever, or have multiple wives, right?
Look at this dynamic. Okay, so because anything that's not a Western way, we just throw a black eye over it. We just taught that that's wrong, that's just messed up. But we don't dig deep into it. We don't analyze exactly what we're talking about. Now, I'm never one that's gonna say that polygamy is for everybody. Every man is not fit for that. That's for a select few, to be honest with you. And I'm talking about the best of the best. I'm talking about a leader. I'm talking about a hustler. I'm talking about a great father. I'm talking about a lot
of responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
And one man. So I hear a lot of women say, "Oh, I wouldn't be down with that. I wouldn't be down with that." But technically, you're sharing a man right now, anyways. But here's the messed up part about it. You're actually, within this system, you're not holding him responsible. Wow. He's not responsible for your finances. He's not responsible for your well-being. He's not responsible for protecting you. He's not responsible for fathering the child that he's had with you. All he's held responsible to in this land is child support. And that's not enough. But when you try to give them the concept of polygamy and everything that comes with it, everything that the man is responsible for, that the community holds him responsible for, they not with it. But I understand it's just because they haven't seen it. If they saw more examples of it functioning well, I think more women would be for it.
I mean, I think that's for the
You
individual.
know
Because I know some African people. I know some African men that have been in that relationship, and they saying that that's too much. Like you know, it depends on who you are. You got to be in it.
Yeah.
I want to ask like a extreme hypothetical because I don't think this exists anywhere. I've never seen it, never heard of it. But say if the situation was reversed, you think it would still be accepted? Like say how Tashi says she's the breadwinner. She's always been the breadwinner. If she had David, Bob, and Jack, you think it will still be as accepted?
So look, listen. So this is the deal, right? That's why I said polyamorous instead of polygamous, because polygamy speaks to one form of polyamory, right? But in African and in the Native American cultures, right, which are most closely related to us, because we're either African and we've dealt with Native Americans, we are stemming from them or whatever, been enslaved with them, however you want to look at it. Polyamorous relationships, which involve a man and a woman joining in a union with multiple other men and women, right? Where you don't have issues of paternity either, because it's a village mindset. So now, if I have what I consider to be my wife, and then she has what she considers to be me as a husband, and then another husband, and she has children, it doesn't matter who the father is, right? As long as we're all putting the same type of work, right?
So ultimately, that kind of even blurs the whole idea of marriage, period, right? If we're talking about a village mindset, that means you're talking more of a commune. Like you're talking about basically, it could be 3 men and 4 women in the house, and we all working together.
Exactly.
I got to be honest with you, brothers. I don't come from that. I'm not with that right there. I ain't.
Oh man, that's. I mean.
And therein lies the issue, man. That's why women ain't try to hear it, because
okay, we talking about natural, right? I just think it's natural. For me, it feels natural to be the breadwinner. I understand there's situations. Tashi's talking about situations where her relationships, she had always been the breadwinner. I understand their relationships like that. I'm just saying the way I feel naturally. I am the one who's supposed to be responsible for those things. That's why the role reverse couldn't sit well with me, because it feels unnatural. I don't know if we can say any of those women who are in these polyamorous relationships, or that they can actually say that they're in a role that doesn't feel natural. They're being, is it an unnatural role where?
But again,
I get what you're
I
saying.
still think about the idea, if you take away the personal and you think about the business, and you think you can get more out of business by combining, with this other dude, still wouldn't it make sense just on the business aspect of it?
But I wasn't even at that point. I wasn't talking about the business part. I was just talking about the role reverse, me being the one who is not the breadwinner, and there's a couple other guys in here who are not the breadwinner, and we all doing not the breadwinner shit together.
Can you hear me?
We all breadwinners, though. What if that's the case? We all consider ourselves. We hear you.
All right.
Okay.
I think what Greg was speaking about is more about innate roles. Yeah. So like the change of man being the breadwinner and a woman and a man, let's say in Anyae's example, being the primary spouse, let's say, and then having a wife and then another wife. So he's the breadwinner, and then he is responsible to provide equal resources for both women.
And my thing is, I get that. Like, I don't have no problem with that. I think that's a natural feeling. Just a man
and it's
being
innate.
biologically,
what
it's
he's
natural.
saying is, if it's innate, but what he's saying is, when you flip that and make the woman the decision maker or the primary spouse, and then she has a husband and another husband, it flips that position, so it's no longer innate to Greg. It's no longer innate.
Break it down. Break it down. You got to break down what a breadwinner really is, because we talked about the influence of westernized society and the mentality and philosophy.
And that's why I was headed at. Like when we're talking about making money, we're talking about just the social construct of it, the social idea of marriage, period, and the fact of we're talking about who's on top as a breadwinner or not. If you are, you know, that's more of a power structure. That got really nothing to do as personal as of, you know, just being a man and a woman. It's whoever basically. Go ahead.
So
Somebody's gonna say something?
Ian, give me an example of one of these situations where it's open, like the roles can be reversed. If I'm pretty sure if it does exist. Give me an example.
I'm not talking about reversal of roles, really. I'm talking about having different understanding of what being a breadwinner or a provider is, right? Okay. So first you got to understand that once you break down societal norms, right? So we have this construct that is Western society. Break that down, right? We're back in nature, right? We are living in nature. What does the family structure need? It needs shelter, it needs food, right? And it needs mobility, right? That's what we need to survive. Freedom of mobility. We need shelter, food and water, freedom of mobility. So naturally, men are stronger. On the upper body, we're more aggressive. We can kill easier, right? Testosterone lets us spear something or hunt something easier than it does a woman naturally, right? But that does not mean that we are the breadwinner per se. It just means that we bring home the food, but the food needs to be prepared, right? And typically that would go to something that a woman would do. We might build the structure, but the woman would take care of the structure. We might teach the kids how to hunt. The woman would teach the kids how to do, you know, the other things that would keep the whole society alive. So it wasn't like, oh, well, you know, without the man, everything falls apart. And without the woman, everything keeps going, which is kind of what it is now, because we have money now to replace everything that a woman can do, right? As breadwinners. It was an equal thing. It was like, hey, the woman has just as much responsibility to keep this society intact as men do. So now when we remove that, now we talk about being a breadwinner. That means I go out and make money. But that ain't really being a breadwinner, because you can't eat money, right? Money is the middleman. Money is the middleman is now the breadwinner. So in any case you talk about it, when we building this foundation off of money, then money is the breadwinner. So now if you take money as a breadwinner, if you accept that, then a woman can also do the same things that men can do. So a woman can have two husbands and men can have two husbands, because money is that breadwinner.
Well, what benefit? So now I would need to know what in the world, because on the surface we already see what benefit comes from a male and dealing with multiple females. The obvious, right? That we can, you know, procreate, and I can, you know, offspring over here. You switch the roles. A woman has multiple males. It's like, what's the contribution? Like, what's the benefit in that one?
If women have multiple males, right? Not just if women have multiple males. If women and men have multiple partners, there's a benefit in that, right? Because there's no benefit in a man only being able to impregnate one woman, right? And then the rest of the men gotta wait. Nah, that don't make sense, right? Because a man can impregnate.
I think what it is opening the idea of community more. It's opening the idea of it's really community. Like you're talking about, now you're talking about a village. Now you're talking about that you know, that aspect. If we're talking about structures, that you're building a bigger structure. You're building a bigger, you know.
Hold on.
That's some interesting.
We get this. We talking specifically about women with multiple men. Too, that's what you're talking about?
It's saying basically no line.
Basically, it's not going to end.
No, I'm just trying to get understanding. I'm just.
No, I mean,
I put it like this. The way I see about, like, if we're talking about, we're going back to nature. I mean, ultimately, as if you just take it down to the biological nature of it, all you is basically is as a species is to make the species grow. So basically, you're putting your seed in everything, and it grows and it grows and it grows. So now, if you take it to this, you're expanding the idea of community. Instead of we just talking about individual relationships, now we're talking about us as a community doing something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Okay. So, all right. Well, all right. So now, I ain't gonna act like I know the numbers and shit, man. But there are more women on this planet than there are men, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking naturally it probably was set up to where there's a male should be able to have. There's enough women for him to. You understand what I'm saying? So now
No.
that we get there,
I'm talking.
sorry, no. Now that we get to that, we put that out there. I'm having the difficulty with that reverse, but I mean it's just an interesting point though, Ian. It's an interesting point. You got me thinking here, man. Really thinking about
Can I
that
can
type
I
of a
speak on
situation.
something?
Can a
Yeah, go
woman
ahead,
handle
Tashi.
multiple men?
So
Say again.
Can a woman handle multiple men? I know they're always
I
exceptions.
don't want to.
Women can handle multiple men.
Could you handle all four of us being your husbands?
Not Dan.
That's my sister, so I can't even think like that. We good.
Okay.
We'll leave out Dane. We'll leave out
Can
Dane.
I chime in?
Go ahead, Jet.
We can't even see you.
I can't see me.
Yeah.
Nope. I didn't even know you still there. It my fault.
I didn't know you still there.
Thanks, everybody.
Blacked out on my
Stop
screen.
sitting in the chair. Go back outside. I'll be done in like a few minutes.
Can I chime in real quick though, even though y'all don't see me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, so I think women can handle multiple men because pornos, you see women handling multiple men.
Can I speak on something, please?
You gotta get
It's
you gotta
true.
turn your camera on now, man.
And
You
the
gotta
average,
turn
if
your
you want to
camera
go
on.
biologically, that whole long-winded fucking bitches for hours is not good biologically. It's actually better you to get it in and keep it moving. I feel like that's how trains
The
were
maximum is
invented.
11 minutes.
Trains were invented
so,
because
yeah, right.
she couldn't get her rocks off, so a whole bunch of dudes started fucking her. So boom.
Jesus Christ.
All right, Tashi, go ahead.
So I don't know if y'all West Indian. I know Dane's West Indian, but I don't know if y'all West Indian. So okay. So like on my island, if you saw a married couple, that was a front. A lot of people were married, and that was like, oh my God, they're married, and they're, just like Western society, it was like praised. But I'm from Antigua. Antigua, a lot of women were side pieces. Oh, okay, and you have a lot of women that have a full-fledged family without a husband, without a spouse, and they have like 4 or 5 kids. And then you have this man. Let's say you have one man, you have 2, 3 women. He has a wife. The wife is the primary. They have their children. Then you have 3 women, and then you have those 3 kids. So you end up with 9 kids out of wedlock, and then you have another wife with their kids in wedlock. And that was very commonplace, and it is still very commonplace. I don't know about other islands. I can only talk about Antigua. I feel like when the roles are reversed, whether it be Western society, as in America, or Europe, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of places where that's normal, where men have all these relationships, and they take most of them in Antigua don't take care of the kids that they have out of wedlock. They'll claim them, but they won't take care of them. They'll leave that woman to fend for these kids by herself. And that's where I feel like right now I'm in a situation mentally where I think about my kids, and I want my sons, because I have 2 sons, to be able to respect marriage. That's one. Be mature enough to decide to get into marriage. Have that business mindset for themselves, and then get into marriage and have that business mindset for their spouse. Because it took me to be 32 for me to realize all these things. And I want them to find a spouse that's equal to their mentality when they get there. Now, if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't be comfortable with my daughter being with multiple men. Because first of all, biologically, let's say she had 2 or 3 husbands and she had 2 or 3 kids for each husband. I mean, although it's possible, that's wear and tear on her. So hypothetically, I don't agree with polyamory at all. But hypothetically, I feel like physically it's not a good practice if the roles were reversed for the woman itself.
Cool. Now we talking about roles now. Now, if we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
roles, so even in that, in the community Ian's talking about, if I was, happen to be in that type of community, if I was in the role of I'm going out and bringing home the food or whatever, that particular role, then it would feel natural. You understand what I'm saying? That was the part that I just, until he explained it that way, I'm just thinking, so if you're flipping this, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do from day to day? Like, what's my responsibility? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why naturally didn't feel that way. But go ahead, Anyae, you was trying to say something.
Oh no! One point I wanted to say was I don't think that finances should change the hierarchy within the household, within the family, and also just going back to polygamy. One of my biggest issues with it was how in this society we have so many situations where we have these secret babies within our community, because from a societal standpoint, the man doesn't want to be embarrassed, specifically a man that's married, that's had a child on the side. I don't want to embarrass my wife. I don't want to show the world that I had these affairs to the side, and how that is a trickle down effect and how that affects that child. But I've heard that gripe before, but also, let's be real, fellas. Sometimes a lot of brothers end up falling in love with this other woman, and they keep that relationship to the side because, again, they want to look. They want this image for society, and I don't think that's right. I think that a man should still be able to deal with this woman and be able to be responsible for his child and bring this child to the light. Integrate this child with his children in his home to it. It ain't no step brothers and sisters. We all family right here. Mm-hmm. We ain't leaving nobody out. We ain't leaving nobody behind.
Mm-hmm. Tashi, you want to say something?
Nope.
Nah, that gets into like
man, as much as we're talking outside of emotion, man, I think it's hard in any kind of polygamous relationship or even polyamorous, is that how you say it? Relationship to keep emotions down. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's gonna muddle up anyway. Like Andy said, biologically the shit could be done, but like I think emotionally that shit makes it harder. You know what I mean? Like it's really hard, because even like when I think about just maybe a place where I'm around a lot of people, like work, you're dealing with a lot of personality, you're dealing with multiple intents, you're dealing with a lot where it's a lot more to juggle, where it becomes a little bit more personal, where you kind of blur the line between business and personal a little bit more.
But okay, have we come to a place as people where we're too vested in our selfishnesses and our own emotions to where we're putting emotions in front of the group, in front of the village, in front of the ultimate mission?
Of course,
I feel like that was always there.
Society, man. We live in a capitalistic society. That's how we are bred to be extremely
I think that he was raised in that mindset. So this is Anyae. He comes from a culture where that is comfortable for them. That is their norm. I'm not saying that we may not have heard of this, but these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4 other people, other men on this screen, more than likely did not come from that mindset. So they'd have to get comfortable or get into or believe in what Anyae's feeling. What Anyae was born into that. This is the norm that he sees. Just the norm that I saw from Antiguan society is that there's a dude, he got a wife, like my father, he had a wife. He ended up sleeping with my mother, and I'm a child out of wedlock. I'm the 5th of his children, and 4 of them is from that one wife. You know what I'm saying? So that is normal to me. Does that mean that I'm not uncomfortable with it? Yes, because I'm an American. So American society says one thing, our culture in the background says another thing. But Anyae, being a person that grew up in a culture where polyamory or polygamy is a norm to him coming into this society, he's like, okay, you kind of have to choose which one you're gonna follow. So now you're in this society where the norm is to be a single wife and husband. So you're looking at as an anomaly because that's your norm that you're bringing from your continent of Africa or your country in Africa.
And so that's why I say it's really about the agreement between you and.
Started off at.
Go ahead, Dane.
No, sorry, not that I was interrupting you. I was saying I think is whatever you choose to you choose between you and your partners. That's what it comes down to. It's that open agreement. Like, you know, with my wife, she told me from the jump, no threesomes. So I'm pretty sure she's not down for
no play.
Dang. That's a real good point you brought up. I was just speaking about this the other day. Okay. Here in this country, the individualism that I see, you know, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I guess we can go both ways with it. Sometimes it can be, sometimes it's not. Speaking specifically on relationships, we were having a conversation about relationships and everybody was saying that, hey, you know, it's all about doing what works best for you, figuring out what works best for you and your partner. And I sat back and I said, okay, so and I was amongst a few married people. I said, so, okay, that works for me, that works for you, that works for you. But what about the rest of our people that are not leaders like us, that are not thinkers like us, that are, you know, amongst that, 70% divorce rate? I'm not judging nobody, you know, the single rate, the single parent rate, you know, everybody doesn't have that train of thought to be able to put such together. So again, that's the importance of structuring some type of structure and culture on as a people. This is how we should do it. Yes, you may have some type of anomalies to say, you know what, I know this is how the group does it, but I'm gonna find a better way of doing it that fits me. But this individualistic way of everybody figure it out, it's not working. It works for maybe us in this group, but for the majority, it's not working.
And again, remember, we live in America, right?
Yeah.
And America, the law in America is one person to person, whether it be homosexual or heterosexual, right? Single to single, individual to individual. They have not opened it up to be multiple parties in a marriage, more than two parties in a marriage, right? But that goes to show that, you know, part of the culture that's here is also compounded or cemented by or buttressed by the legal structure here. So even in Anyae's situation where he may have two spouses, only one is on paper. He may have two spouses, but they're not on paper because he doesn't even want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Like in regard to paperwork. There's a lot of African people that I know of, certain countries, they have multiple wives and one is on paper and one is not. Or nobody's on paper and they just have a religious ceremony.
Right.
So although the cultural norms are accepted in your culture and then you live within the US or you live with, let's say you live in Europe, society is in the legal framework or legal mindset does not accept that. So there's a lot of facets that come in or dynamics that come into the situation where you become the anomaly. It's a legal anomaly and it's a cultural anomaly.
Well, you know, Brother Polite in his personal situation, he talked about that very thing not being on paper as far as, you know, a marriage certificate. But he said you don't need it, you know. All you need is the understanding between parties.
Let me tell you something. If I could go back, honey, I wouldn't be on paper. One man to one woman, I would not be on paper because, like I said, going back to the original topic when we first started, divorce is like death.
Yeah, I mean, it's
so sad. So that's what I was talking about.
Uncontested or contested, it's a lot of headache.
Exactly. And so that's why I was saying a lot of people, especially men, and we talk about the sister here because she kind of had a role reversal where she was the breadwinner. But usually for men, when we looking at it as, hey, we about to go into this situation, this contract, into this contract. And if we don't fulfill the very needs of this contract, then it can be voided. And then we got to deal with the divorce and possibly losing, you know, more than half of what we gained or amassed or what we went into the contract with. So she brought it all right back to that point where it's like, you know, I kind of agree that the contract legally, it doesn't make sense to get into that contract because you can have a marriage, right, spiritually and emotionally, and then legally bind yourself through other documents. Somebody else without marriage, you know. So, but the marriage as that, it's like handcuffs. You know,
It's like a
Now,
state institution.
now,
and
do you?
the only way to get out of that is if the government unlocks it, and then you got to get the key, and the key comes with stipulations. So that's why I said I kind of agree with it, man. I kind of agree with the
Here's
fear.
the thing: the point that I was making today when we talked about this some months back is the thing is, with the benefit of marriage comes perks, so to speak. If you don't understand what comes from being married, right? I can understand why it's just like, I could be either here or there with it. But when you start to actually look at some of the things that are available to you guys now that you are married, like some of the benefits you get because you are married, then it puts a little different spin on it, especially if you're going to be in the country. If you're going to be in the country and you're going to be playing house, you might as well get the benefits that come with it, is what I'm saying. And
so what benefits are those?
Well, okay.
Yeah, I was about to ask,
all
like,
right. So
delineate
okay,
perks.
so we all pay taxes, right? You understand that being married and filing joint, there's certain things, certain, tax breaks that you receive because you're married. Exemptions, right? That's not enough. That's not. I got to give you something better than that.
Nah. Enough for me.
Yeah, here's the exemption.
Okay, so healthcare. Let's talk about healthcare, for instance. Let's say you're in a situation where you don't have it. You guys are married and your wife has, health coverage. Now you have the ability to be on health coverage. Could be, the other way around as well.
The benefit. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say again.
That is definitely a benefit.
I mean, but there's a whole lot of them, and then I haven't even gone into if we started to create a business. I'm talking about something that's going to generate income. I haven't even gotten to the benefits that come with that. Real estate, as an individual, well, this probably doesn't happen as much now, in this, let's say for homes between $100,000 to $200,000, in worth, you probably don't see those real large profits that you get on selling real estate. But as an individual, right? Capital gains taxes. You guys familiar with capital gains taxes? That's the amount of money that you can make off of a real estate deal before you have to pay taxes on the profit, right?
Married couples get a higher.
Exactly. It's doubled. Actually, you know what I'm saying? So when I say benefits,
depending on what state you in, honey. Yeah,
well, I think my thing is what I'm saying is there's like, and there's this shit that I don't even know about. There's countless things that marriage,
Social Security,
that too. I mean, it's my point is that if marriage, I look at marriage as a business, a certification, especially as a business. But if I'm looking at it like that, but you have to go a little more. You have to find out what comes with it. Just like if you went to school and you became a carpenter, and now you have a carpentry license or certification. What does that allow you to do now? How do you benefit off this certification or degree or anything? If you're going to do it, find out what you get from it. There's a shitload of stuff that you can get from it. You just got to know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
I think the issue is, though, that we live in a pop culture society, right? So whatever's popular is what dictates the mentality of society. And most people don't look at marriage or relationships the way that we're talking about it in this conversation right now. Like 90% of people don't look at it.
Maybe even more than that.
Like 90% of people, they see these posts on Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat talking about love and the feelings that you get and fireworks and so on and so forth. So they're entering into this contract. That's what they're entering in on. They're entering in on, I'm riding this firework until it's going to eventually fizzle out and then we start falling because it ain't nothing there to hold us up. So that's why I say I agree from looking at it from societal standpoint, because I can understand, I empathize with the common person who has not thought about it this way, right? And we'll never think about it this way because it's just not the way that it's portrayed in popular culture. It never will be. Because
I actually want to ask a question.
You start talking about growing businesses. Well, the elite don't want us growing businesses. The elite want us they want us as employees.
That's another conversation.
But it's part of this conversation because now we talk about the employee thinking about, hey, if I get married, even if I make $200,000 while I'm married with this woman that I built this with, if she walks away and you enter into the emotional realm, she walks away and says, I want everything. I want it all. Then you lose everything and you lose it all. So even though I made $200,000 while I'm with this woman, now I got $15,000 and I still got to pay her alimony for some reason, even though she got the $200,000 and the kids and the 2 houses, right? And I still got to pay her alimony. So I can make $85,000 a year now as a divorced man, but 75% of that is going towards this alimony and child support, whatever the case is. That's how they look. Say
that the elites is pushing for the dissolution of any kind of companionship or any kind of marriage? I feel like now society is going in a realm where, all right, we're going to say polygamy, or we're going to talk about all these different kind of institutions without any kind of discipline behind it. Because I feel like the elites is like, fuck this, let everybody be by themselves, let everybody do this. Let's throw any kind of traditionalism out the window and find a way to fucking exploit people and have people as employees for the rest of their fucking life. I feel like this is what's happening now, personally.
I have to go, but I do have to say something like,
no,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I do want to talk about business. We talked about business the other day, but us Black people, we talk about business and wanting to do better, but we don't support ourselves. And no matter what it is that we present to the world, we always picking and choosing what's popular to support a person. So I really don't like to talk about an actual business when it comes to marriage, not the business of marriage, but an actual business when it comes to marriage, and then the finances that are associated with business, because if you're talking about a Black business, it's so many dynamics that come into it. In regard to taxation, I'm a tax buff. I love it. I know the benefits of not being married. I know the benefits of being married. I know the benefits of I don't pay taxes at all.
Well, see, now you're see how you gonna say that and then leave? What are you talking about? Now you see.
Let me tell you something. I'm a sidebar.
We're gonna have another episode real quick because I think that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna cut it up, but you see how Trump had that $100 million that he's living off of? One year he lost $100 million. When we become abreast of our tax codes just enough so you can suffice, you'll end up like me, not paying taxes. I don't pay no taxes.
Listen.
Okay.
I mean, so you're gonna sit here and you're gonna tell these guys.
I want to know.
Well, I mean, when you say that, you're basically saying that your expenses exceed your tax liability. In addition, okay, all right. So yeah, we can get into that. We can get into that. But
I want to get into that later because that
I want to know the legalese. I need to know. I need to
spend more money, folks. Spend more money on things that are tax deductible, and you can do the same thing, man.
Yeah.
Get your life together. Like, let me tell you something. And I know I'm going on a sidebar, right? I don't own any property yet. But when you learn the system, you'll be elite. Okay? Because I don't like that term, the elite. Okay? You'll be elite when you learn the system. Forget corporations. There's people like me that I have 2 businesses and I'm working freelancing. And I pay no taxes. Last year, I got back $11,000.
That's that West Indian acumen. I hear that. He like elite. You'll find ways to escape all kind of strictures.
And when they go back, and I do my own taxes. And when they go back, I always get audited, and I still get my money.
That's it.
Figure it out.
She ain't doing that wrong. She ain't doing nothing wrong, man.
I'm realizing I should be talking to Sheena more often. Really, we gonna talk outside.
All right, take care.
I got my baby.